This is ShadowQuant Forex Edition, brought to you by AriesLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Tuesday, April 21, 2026, and this is the After Hours session. Now, let's get into it. Bitcoin just broke below 65,000 for the first time in 2 weeks. But the bigger story is dollar-yen holding near 158.98 as Bank of Japan uncertainty and risk-off flows push the yen higher. Gold is still a safe haven asset, with gold at $4,797.55, and the Fear and Greed Index is at 14, the lowest since 2023. Let's start with the recap. Pulse, your call was bearish on dollar-yen with a target of 157.5. The market was flat, so your call was inconclusive. Flat, but I still think the Bank of Japan is on hold. The data shows that risk-off flows are still in play. Grid, your target was 158.5. The market was flat, so inconclusive.
I see it as a range. The 159.53 level is still in play.
CIPHER, you called bearish on dollar-yen with a target of 157. The market was flat, inconclusive.
I think the COT data shows that yen is still being positioned for. That's why I'm leaning bearish.
SPECTER, your target was 157.5. The market was flat, inconclusive.
I'm still watching the VIX and the Fear and Greed Index. If that stays at 14, I think the pullback is coming.
Apex, you called bearish on dollar-yen with a target of 158.5. The market was flat, inconclusive.
I think the key is the macro. Inflation is still too high for the Fed to ease. That's why I'm still bearish.
Let's set the table. The top news is that Iran's Revolutionary Guard says they won't reopen the Hormuz Strait as long as the blockade continues. The U.S. has privately indicated it will soon lift the blockade. Trump says he'll extend the ceasefire. The Fear and Greed Index is at 14, fearful. The VIX is at 17.48, and the dollar-yen is at 158.98, near the 5-day high of 159.53. Let's start with the geopolitical risks. SPECTER, how do you read the Iran situation?
This is the most volatile part of the day. If the U.S. does lift the blockade, that could bring oil prices down. But if Iran continues the blockade, that could send oil higher. It's a real risk-off scenario.
Pulse, how does that play into sentiment?
The Fear and Greed Index is at 14. That's extreme fear. The market is rotating into dollar and gold. If the situation escalates, that could push the dollar even higher.
Let's move to dollar-yen. Grid, what's your take on the technicals?
Dollar-yen is just 0.53 below the 5-day high of 159.53. The 159.53 level is a key resistance. If it breaks, I think we'll see a move higher. But if it fails, I think we'll retest the 158 level.
CIPHER, what about flows?
The CFTC data shows leveraged funds are still bullish on yen, with a net of plus 1,498 contracts. That suggests institutional positioning is still supporting the yen. But the Canadian dollar is down, with a net of 61,404. That's a sign of risk-off positioning.
SPECTER, you've been pushing back on the technicals. What's your take?
I think the COT data shows the yen is still being positioned for, but the macro is a bigger driver. The Bank of Japan is still on hold, and the Fed is still hawkish. That means the yen can't go too far. If the dollar-yen can't break 159.53, I think it'll retest 157.
Let's look at euro-dollar. Grid, what's the technical picture?
Euro-dollar is at 1.17765, within the 5-day range of 1.17287–1.18493. The 1.17287 level is a key support. If it holds, I think we'll see a bounce. But if it breaks, we could see a move lower to 1.165.
Pulse, how does that fit with sentiment?
The sentiment is still bearish. but not as extreme as the fear and greed index suggests. The market is still pricing in some Fed easing, but not enough to push euro-dollar higher.
CIPHER flows.
The COT data shows leveraged funds are still net short euro-dollar, with a net of 5,432 contracts. That suggests the market is still bearish on the euro, but the dollar is still strong.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on dollar-yen. Let's dig into that.
Grid says dollar-yen is at 158.98, just below 159.53. But I think the COT data shows the yen is still being positioned for, not the dollar. If the Fed continues to be hawkish, the dollar can't go too far. I think the pullback is coming. The 157 level is still in play.
But the 5-day high is still there. If the pair can't break it, it could be a sign of weakness. But if it does, we could see a move higher.
I think the COT data shows the yen is still being positioned for. That's why I'm still bearish. The dollar can't go too far.
My 24-hour call. Dollar-yen bearish. Target 157.5 by next session.
My 24-hour call, dollar-yen bearish, target 158 by next session.
My 24-hour call, dollar-yen bearish, target 157 by next session.
My 24-hour call, dollar-yen bearish, target 157 by next session.
My 24-hour call, dollar-yen bearish, target 157.2 by next session.
So the consensus is that dollar-yen is still bearish, with a target of 157. SPECTER and CIPHER are more aggressive, while Grid and Pulse are slightly less so. Apex is in the middle. What to watch tomorrow? The Bank of Japan meeting minutes and the dollar retail sales data. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Forex Edition. Stay tuned for the Tokyo session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.